Hello, guys. This is gonna be a very fun storytelling moment. I want to say that I am glad for my friends. By the way, my colleagues in the industry, I'm glad for you guys. You know, first of all, I wanted to tell you a little story about my first experience with loading with with percussion section at Nichols. It was my first time going performing with them. So there was a day or two before that, and that was the around early November 2020, my first semester. There was we were required to help load the trailer for a performance that it was gonna be live, like YouTube live, because during COVID. So what it was, and I'll explain a little bit as I go. And there's just me and one of my percussion buddies, Mallory Perry. Sweetest thing ever, I'll tell you that much. She was just so very sweet. It was just me and her loading up the tons and tons of instruments that we had to use for our percussion ensemble and wind ensemble, because they both happened on the same night. One was before another group, and so on, if you understand. So as me and Mallory, we were kind of go back and forth to the band room. And we had to go wheel out all the instruments, and I didn't want to leave that sweet girl behind. Because knowing the fact it would have not been fair for her to do it all by herself. And two, it would be nearly impossible to do it all by herself. Because I believe in team playing. Everybody has to take responsibility for everything going on. So it was me and her, and it had people from other sections, like the trumpet section, and some people from wind ensemble, jazz band. They helped us a little bit with the loading. When percussion people could have, volunteer to help, So it was me and her, plus the several other band members that we had to closely monitor, because the fact is the expense of the instruments, how big they are, how much care, all the factors. Especially if you wheeled off a 5-octave marimba. That takes a lot more people to wheel it off, to put on the trailer, and the whole 9 yards. Because if you break, it's like if you do something wrong, sometimes you can be paralyzed for life. Because that's one of those instruments that can really, really hurt you. So we had to work together on it. And we kind of took so we started around 4 in the afternoon. It took us 3 hours to get everything to from the band room to Talbot. It took us a lot of trips. And yep, I told the next day I was in the band room practicing, because I had recital 55 coming up with I had to do Ne Rosario for it was a Maltese percussion piece. I saw Dr. Miranda in the room, because his office was in the band room. That's before he had the big office. So I talked to Dr. Miranda, say, Dr. Miranda, in the kind, sweet, gentle way, because that's before I referred to him as the favorite. But he showed himself to be the good guy for everything, you know. I said, Dr. Miranda, I told him everything. Like, Mallory and I was doing all the hauling, all the stuff, going back and forth between going to the band room and to Talbot with every piece of equipment. And we feel like some of the stuff, like, the teammates flaked on us a little bit. Oh, and I remembered that one time my mom and dad picked me up, I told my mom and dad, say, hey, me and this other girl was off the hook because we moved the stuff by ourselves, you know, and the rest of the team got punished for it. And then I remembered explicitly what the good teacher was doing, and he was very good at having a percussion handbook. Thank you, Dr. Miranda. It helped the future ones. That way we don't slack off. We know we have what we have to do in the future ones. So it was I remembered a time after that, and we had a whole studio class discussing proper etiquette, like what to do before a concert and what do you do after, which meaning like the incident itself didn't happen anymore. And I'm glad that my favorite one was kind of the tough one on it, saying, look, we're going to follow by this handbook like it's a book in the Bible. Or better yet, like the darn 10 Commandments. If you're familiar with Exodus and you're familiar with the 10 Commandments, you'll get what I'm saying. Because it follows that point. And every rule that we had to follow, which was really good etiquette rules. Like number 1, and I can say the number 1 rule I remembered back with him is you do not leave unless everything is picked up. I don't care if we had to stay an extra hour after a performance, but in the event that happens, we know we have to haul. The same goes for if you're, and sometimes it depends on the good situation, whether he dedicates the time towards a studio day and what we do to wheel the instruments over there. So that way we're not having to take time off our schedules to help, you know. I'm really glad that he is approachable. And yes, Dr. Miranda, you were the best at being approachable in every situation. I certainly hope that a job with the same ethics as you had instilled in me and other people would be the best thing. Because autistic people can have pretty good ethics. And I really wished that the school systems would see that. And the fact is, everybody that I applied to, and I've been applying to newer positions or reapplying to some, because I believe that with the same amount of ethics, autistic people can possess a professional life, you know. And maybe I'm glad that Dr. Miranda and the others were trying to instill that in me when I first started, you know. And it teaches me about being a team player, but more importantly, it taught me about being a good friend and a good fellow musician and possibly a fellow worker. You never know. And yeah, Dr. Barnett, you better know I'm talking explicitly very good things about the favorite. Yeah, you can share it. See you later.